Going to record. Hey, we're recording. All right.
Hello and welcome to the Purdue Basketball Beat. I'm Michael with Anish and Andy. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
And we have a very special guest. If you're on Twitter, you of course know who this guy is. It's Chris Forman, the Sports Information Director for Purdue Basketball and Purdue Men's Golf. Do you have both golf?
What's that?
It's so you're the SID for golf too, right?
Yep, I am.
That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to talk to you.
No problem.
Two top 25 programs, both the men's golf and the men's basketball team.
Yeah, it's a blessing. When I came from Navy, the joke was kind of my teams weren't real good. My basketball team went 3-26 one of my last years there, so I can't imagine going through that again. But I've just been blessed coming here with such great coaches and great support staffs and great teams. So definitely enjoying this ride right now that I'm on.
So you have an interesting background. So Anish did some studying up on you. So if you're creeped out, it's Anish's fault, not mine.
That's me.
Going through your trash.
That's the role that I play. That is the role that I play on this podcast.
You just find a bunch of dirty diapers in there, so.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So it looks like you have a BS from Central in Iowa in exercise science and health promotion. Did you know that this is the path that you wanted to take to become a SID?
No, actually, so growing up, I grew up in western Iowa, a town about 1,400. My dad was a football coach for 35 years at the high school there. And then my brother runs baseballreference.com and all the reference websites there. So we have a pretty significant sports background. But growing up, I wanted to be a meteorologist. So I grew up, I watched the weather constantly. I still watch the Weather Channel some, but it's changed a lot, so I don't watch it as much as I used to. But I went to Central College strictly to basically try and play basketball and then take a couple years of classes and then transfer. Took my first physics calculus class, and it just kicked my butt. So stopped doing that, went to environmental studies, didn't really like that, and then my senior year I switched to exercise science, and I really had no idea what I was going to do with it. And I kind of looked around and got an internship with the SID office at Central for like a summer, which I didn't do anything really. I was fortunate enough, I thought I was a fairly decent writer. I got a sports editor job at a newspaper in western Iowa, a daily newspaper, town of about 6,000. Was there for about 2 years. Had a friend at St. Cloud State who said, "Hey, have you ever looked into sports information?" I was like, "Yeah, I've worked there for a summer. I'd be interested." Got a grad assistant there. From there, I went to UMass for 2 years, down to Navy for 10 years, and then here the last 3. So it's been a weird ride. I never thought I'd be doing this, but just realized I had to be in sports. So
can I say that when you say that you worked for a summer and you did nothing, I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that, because just for from what we have seen you do and from what we've seen from the athletic department since you've gotten there, I don't think you're capable of not doing something for the better.
I learned a lot, but back in this was before social media. This was in 1998, so it was a Division III school, and we just did these hometown releases that said, so-and-so is a member of the Central College basketball team. He played 10 games last year, so it wasn't anything, did a bunch of research, but it wasn't anything like it is now with social media and all that. So video wasn't even a thought back then. So just doing, what 15 years ago, what I was doing is significantly different than right now.
So before we move on, you were at Central, your mascot was the Dutch? Is that right?
Yeah.
We need to address that.
We need to talk about that.
It was the Flying Dutchman, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hofstra at all. They used to be the Flying Dutchman as well. And they had, it was basically a big boat was their mascot. It might have been my freshman year there. I think they switched to Dutch. So
A
it's a
boat.
very Dutch community. They have a tulip time festival in early May. It's completely off the chain. It's unbelievable. So
That's definitely one of the top 5 tulip festivals in the country.
it is, yeah, definitely. You go to Holland, Michigan, it's right up in there. So
I
um,
believe Tyler, Texas has a nice tulip
they used to
festival too.
find people. They used to fine people like $500 if you destroyed a tulip and they caught you. So
This is serious.
pretty crazy.
I
They're
I
very
don't I
proud.
don't. There's so much there to work with. The fact that a boat was the. I mean,
Hey,
I
we got to train. We got to
for
train.
the train. Yeah, but a train, it's powerful. It's a train, you know.
I've had some pretty unique nicknames because I went Dutch, Minutemen, Midshipmen, and now Boilermakers. There aren't too many, if
Yeah.
any, of those 4 nicknames. So
Yeah.
that's pretty unique.
So one of the big changes that we've noticed since you came on board in what was it, 2013? Is that right?
Yeah, August 2013.
Is
Yep.
you along with Tom Mitchell, who runs the Boiler Bylaws account. It seems like there has been a renewed, or maybe not a renewed, but a new focus on outreach to the fans through social media. Is that part of like a larger strategy, or is that really self-directed by the staff?
Um, I don't know if it was self-directed, but my kind of thought is, what good is social media if you can't interact with your fans? And I think that's what it's used for. Um, and Twitter's a lot easier to interact with fans than Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook right now it's kind of a tough situation with us, but Twitter you get 140 characters, you can say what you want. And it's just your fans support you, so you just need to kind of support them and try and help them out as much as possible. So I definitely think that we've kind of tried to make a conscious effort in reaching out to them more and including them and answering their questions and stuff.
That's really what's interesting about that is I think the casual fan probably does not know what an SID does, or that there even is one. If you're just watching the games, but through the outreach over Twitter or Instagram or Periscope or whatever, you sort of see this SID as the conduit of information from the team, which is hard for the casual fan to get access to that information. But it also seems like, through Twitter at least, that social media can be kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, you can talk to people, they talk back, and sometimes there's not always positive things. Have you experienced that, and how do you sort of deal with that side of fandom?
That's a tough question because I feel I'm pretty thin-skinned, and so it like sometimes it gets to me what people say, and I need to not let it get to me. And sometimes you just got to let it go. They have no clue, sometimes what they're talking about, but you just got to let it go sometimes, and you take the good with the bad, and you can kind of tell if people are trolling you and if they're not. So most of the time it's in good fun, but some of the time you just got to let it go and move on from them. I will say the mute button and has been revolutionary, for Twitter. So
You were recently.
You have no idea what to say.
You've crossed a barrier. Actually, it's almost a rite of passage. Somebody actually called for you to be fired because you're a football coach, apparently.
Yeah. I grew up around football, but I don't know the first thing about it. I don't think so. They want to fire me being a football coach.
But how do you even respond, or do you just block? Like, do you just use the block button, use the mute button, and just say that negativity is going to be there? Is that kind of your attitude?
Yeah, I use the mute a lot. If someone's I give them pretty much one chance to say what they want to say, and if they come trolling at me, I'll just mute it, and I don't know. Again, maybe it's my thin skin showing, but I don't know.
I think a thin skin is a useful tool on Twitter. I think all of us have received some hate too from time to time. I know I have. So
yeah. You just got to go with it and move on, whatever.
So when we talked to Brian Newbert a couple weeks ago, and we talked extensively about Twitter because as someone who covers Purdue athletics professionally, that's been a big revolution for him. I mean, especially from a recruiting standpoint, another barrier between him and recruits has been sort of lifted with Twitter, but it also brings out the trolls as well, and he gets a lot of heat on there too. Do you think have you noticed either with your current players or with recruits the impact of social media, and how does Purdue try to manage what is ultimately an unmanageable situation?
I mean, we do a lot of social media education with our student athletes. We bring in, outside social media experts, people that have been around their whole life and do that for a living. Our guys, I've noticed our basketball guys and my golf guys are really pretty good on Twitter. There's not a lot of them that I've ever had to worry about for what they say. So I'm not really too concerned, and obviously now during the season they're not on it. So
is that a sigh of relief once it's radio silence? I can imagine just like, yes, we made it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent towards it. Are you talking about the ban that Coach Painter puts on them, or what?
That was one of the questions I had, whether the ban was from Coach Painter, or whether that was a captain's decision or something.
No, I'm pretty sure it's from Coach Painter. I think it was probably before I got here. And he has his reasons behind it, and I get it. I'm not going to fight him on it because he knows what he's doing. So, that's just his decision. So, would I like to see our guys on Twitter? I think it's an incredible recruiting tool, especially when you have your guys, saying how great the program is and stuff like that. But in the long run, a guy's going to come to Purdue not because of what someone tweeted. It's because of the relationship they have with the players and coaches and the school. So, and they can do that after the season and before the season. So, it's not a weight off my shoulder or anything. It's just something you don't have to worry about, I guess, as much.
So, what is it going to take to get Coach Painter to tweet more than twice a year?
I don't know. He's not. I mean, he's not. He's on it. But he's just not. Totally into it as much. So he'll do it when he does it, I guess.
Oh, there are jokes that I could make right now that probably would make everybody uncomfortable. Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at
that. So one of the things that I think a lot of fans love about following your account are your boiler notes, and that's a good sort of intro into the stats.
Okay.
How much time do you spend on Basketball Reference just pulling all that stuff together, or does the program track stuff internally?
Well,
or how much does the program stack?
When I got here, a little over 2 years ago, I felt the media guide wasn't up to date and wasn't as good as it should be. So I got here in August, so I didn't have a whole lot of time the first year to really dive into it. And then last year and this last summer, I created an Excel spreadsheet of every box score from back to 1951. And where you could just chart everything, field goals made, everything. And you could sort them numerically, and that's really been a big help because then I can just go in and do that. So I get a lot of my notes from that chart. And then it's just research and stuff that you see, and I use a couple external websites, kenpom.com. I really like BB State is another one, and then lastly, my brother's website, collegebasketballreference.com, has a lot of great stuff. So it's just a lot of research, and then you see something that you like and you can go with it. So it's just basically updating the numbers and doing game notes, and I get a lot of my stuff from the game notes. And it's been fun because that's one of the things I enjoy the most about my job is the research that you can do, into the archives and the history of Purdue basketball.
So I read somewhere, I think that Purdue was one of the first programs to use motion tracking technology on its players. Is that correct?
Yep. I
Do
think we were
you
the first college program to do it.
what do you do with that sort of data? Are you tied? Do you have like a partnership with Synergy Sports or any of these other analytics? Do you have like
Yeah,
your
it's
own in-house advanced stats, or how does that? What do you use that data
so
for?
that's mostly Josh Bonatol's, the strength coach, is doing. What the guys do every practice and every scrimmage, though, they, for lack of a better word, it's a sports bra, but they have microchips in them, and you can. It's a GPS tracking, and it just tracks how far they run, how many sprints, how many accelerations, decelerations, impacts, all this stuff. So he tracks it every single day, and he can tell, how far a guy can run, or not how far a guy can run, but like how much he can go and how much
Mhm.
more has to give and stuff. So, it's been really helpful. I know he's loved it. He's really dived into the analytics of it. Hey, after so much distance, this guy starts to break down. So we need to ease him back and um, determine when is best for him to play in the game, and stuff. So it's just to get his rest and stuff. So I mean, he's used it extensively, and I think it's been a big help for our guys. Now I know there are some other schools like I think Duke, and I don't know if we do this yet or not, but they'll track stats from shooting off of one dribble,
Mhm.
going to the right, to the left, where if he's from 15 feet, pull ups at 15 feet, what he shoots, and all. And I mean, it's unbelievable how far that it's come, and that you can get guys in the right situations where they can succeed.
There's been some great along those same lines. There's been some great videos I think on Instagram that he's posted of the Purdue team working out.
Yep,
Was who shot those videos?
that was probably Josh.
It was probably
He probably
Josh.
just shot with his phone and put them up there.
Those are great. Like I just eat that stuff up. I know a lot of Purdue fans do as well. The focus on getting like these little vignettes out, like the in the arena series.
Yeah,
I think they're really great ways to give fans like this behind the scenes look.
yeah.
Is this sort of the first of the kind, like in these last 2 years that Purdue has done, or what's the plan for stuff like that moving forward?
That's as far as I know that they haven't done anything before that. This was kind of the brainchild of Nick Caruso, who's the video guy for the basketball team, and then Kylan Scheidt does a lot with it too. So
Her
we just
videos
kind
are
of
great.
planned. What's that?
Kylan's videos are great. Like,
Yeah, she does a great job, and it's just a great behind the scenes look that most people can't see. And our plan this year is to do one every week, and we're trying to roll out more videos. Today I did a Vine that was 6 seconds that we're trying to do more of. That's just more behind the scenes and more inside access. So I think we're actually kind of trying to catch up with everyone the last couple of years because there were a lot of schools that did that. Now I think probably our videos are on par with everyone else's.
I'd say that's a fair statement. And Purdue has a reputation for being sort of old school. This is you mentioned the media guide being out to date, and that's something that people notice. But it's a great way to energize fans when they have access to information that they wouldn't normally do. So I know that's been very well received, and it helps build this positive energy towards the team, which I think this season, it's fair to say, has about as much positive fan feeling around it since probably the baby Boilers age. What are your impressions of this squad headed into the season?
I'm obviously pretty excited. I'm by fault an optimistic person, so I usually think we'll go 40-0 pretty much every year.
If
Um,
only
so
that would I would
and then
die
you
happy.
lose, and we'll be 39-1. So that's probably a little bit of fault of my own, but I think there's the expectations are deservedly so. I think we're going to be a pretty good team. We'll cause a lot of matchup problems. What the ceiling is, I don't know. I'm not going to throw out a prediction like that just because oh, Purdue's going to the Final Four. And, I mean, it's so dependent on matchups and what happens, and if you get an injury here or there, knock on wood. So I'm not going to throw that out, but I think that justifiably so. It's people are pretty excited about it, and the talent on their roster is pretty good. I think guys have made a lot of improvements this summer. I think Vince Edwards has taken off. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think Kendall Stevens is going to have a good year. I think P.J. Thompson is. So I think all the guys have really put in the time to get better. So what that means, we'll see come November. But I think a lot of people should be excited for the right reasons.
Do you think the tournament game against Cincinnati last year was beneficial from a let's play on a big stage, a young team on a big stage standpoint? Are there lessons there that you think they'll be able to carry forward?
Yeah, I think so. If you talk to Vince and Dakota this summer and this fall, that game still is with them. And, they're using it as motivation. I know A.J. Hammonds, I took a picture of him standing in the hallway, watching the Kentucky game. And I think he really wishes that he would have had a chance with them, against them. I'm not saying we would have beat them, but, they had all those draft picks. And I think he wanted to try and show what he was going to be able to do against them. And, I think Ray, if you would have seen Ray after the game last year, the guy was inconsolable. So I think that, there's a lot of motivation to really build on that. And I think that Cincinnati game left a really sour taste in their mouths. And it's not the way anyone wanted to end it, especially when we led late like that. So, it was great to get back to the NCAA tournament, but they were definitely not pleased with the way it ended.
How many professional players do you see on the roster, whether it's NBA or whether it's overseas? How many players do you think will collect a paycheck to play?
I see Biggie. Obviously, I see AJ. I see Isaac. I see Vince Edwards. I think Kendall Stevens would have a shot. He's got to show more consistency. He can't go 3 of 11. 1 of 6, and then 6 of 6. From 3. He's just got to bring it pretty much every night. But the kid's really athletic. He's long. He's improved his athleticism. I think he's a tough matchup, but he's got to show that consistency. I'm trying. I could see Dakota maybe playing overseas somewhere. I don't know after that. I gotta think about it.
How about Ray? So do you think Ray? Do you think he'll go? Do you think he'll pursue it after Purdue, or do you think he'll go the coaching route, or do you think he'll just that's it? This is the year.
That's a really good question. Ray's phenomenal. He's a tremendous student. Really wants to succeed in life for his daughter. That's his number one motivation. So whether that be overseas playing, he might get a training camp, an NBA tryout like John Octius did.
Yeah, but at age 35, he doesn't have a whole lot of time left. He's not past his prime.
He is the oldest looking 22-year-old I've ever seen.
So. He's looked like that since he was a freshman in high school. I remember watching him on set for Southside being like, this guy's a freshman?
Yeah.
Freshman in grad school.
It was funny at media day. They were asking him when the earliest he dunked was, and they asked all the players, and he was 7th grade, and he said I was also 6'4" in 7th grade. So, and he's grown like 2 inches since 7th grade. So, I think he's got a chance to play overseas. NBA, I don't see it happening, but you never know. He could come out and have an unbelievable year and see what happens.
So, are there any?
Ryan Klein, I think he can. I know it's too early to make assumptions, but you can't close the door on that quite yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's gonna. There's a lot of players in the NBA that have made a living off shooting. You look at Kyle Korver. That guy, he's from the same hometown as I went to college, and he would come play with us when he was like a freshman, I think. And he was slow. He couldn't do a whole lot. He wasn't that big. And, I mean, the guy could shoot, and he's made a living out of shooting in the NBA. I mean, he was an all-star last year because he could shoot. So I definitely think, Ryan Klein would have a shot as well.
So when will the team make decisions regarding red shirts for this upcoming year?
I think for upperclassmen, it has to be basically decided November 1st, I believe. We have a event with another team, which
a closed event.
Information, but so, and that's when we're going to play them. So I think if an upperclassman plays that day or on the 8th, then they're done. They cannot redshirt. Freshmen can play on the 1st or the 8th, and they can still redshirt. So that's when we'll find out.
Do you think there'll be multiple redshirt candidates this year, or I mean, the team is very deep, but you don't want to.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I really have no idea. I know Ryan Klein has made it very difficult for the coaches to think about redshirting him. He's playing pretty well, so yeah, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you.
So before we let you go, are there any plans for the upcoming year from social media, or at least like little projects coming up that we could be aware of?
Not a lot of projects. Once we get going in the season, it gets hard to start doing new stuff and all that. But I'm going to try and do some periscopes during halftimes this year. I think Periscope is going to be an unbelievable app and platform, because I think a lot of people are using Periscope wrong. Like streaming a press conference doesn't do anything. You want interaction. So my goal is to kind of do a Q&A, halftime Q&A for 5-6 minutes, and just have fans ask questions. I was contemplating trying to do a post-game Q&A Periscope with a player where fans could ask questions. Hey Vince, what, you went for 16 and 12 tonight. How'd you get so many rebounds? And just stuff like that. So for 5-10 minutes, we'll see if it happens. But that's kind of the plan, and then obviously in the arena, every week. So yeah, that's about it. I'm just ready to get going.
And I have to ask, there's been a lot of questions from fans. Any hope of getting that Purdue basketball Pinterest account up?
I'm not running it, so if you guys want to create a fan one, that's all you.
I have
now that I have your authorization.
And I'm telling you also, Snapchat will never happen under my watch. So don't even ask for that.
The official Purdue Tinder account.
That's right.
You guys saw the Atlanta Hawks doing all that stuff, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, had a lot of success with Tinder night.
You guys, they did a video with Ashley Madison when that whole thing came out.
I saw that. Yeah.
It was the greatest video I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. And I was
Purdue's
like,
not going to play in that arena, is what you're telling me. Okay.
What's that?
Purdue's not playing in that arena, is that what you're telling me?
No.
Okay. Right. I guess you got to draw a line somewhere. Well, thank you very much.
So before, three quick questions.
Just one question. Are they all Vince Edwards related?
I see. I restrained myself from the Vince Edwards. I only did nonverbal cues, so I didn't. We'll have 10 minutes of Vince Edwards talk post this interview, though. But what position do you play? What position do you play at for the Dutch?
The Dutch.
Well, this is kind of an amusing story. Not amusing, but when I was in high school, we were in the smallest class in the state of Iowa, Class A. We started a 6'7" center who played football at Iowa, a 6'6" power forward, a 6'7" 3 guy. I was the shooting guard at 6'3", and a 6-foot point guard. So my freshman year, we were number 2 in the state. I mean, we were really, really good. Then my freshman year, I get to Central and I played JV, and I was the power forward at 6'3" on my JV.
Your high school
So,
team had more size than your college team.
yeah, at least my JV team. Now, my junior year, we had some more size, but because they were all playing varsity and we were stuck on the JV.
So since you have
But I would
experience,
say 2-3 is my normal position.
so since you have experience though playing power forward in college, have you been getting out on the court and showing Biggie like some moves? Like,
I let Brandon Brantley do that. He loves to get out there and bang on. I don't know if you've ever seen the videos, but he's got those huge
oh yeah,
arm pad things on. He just wails on them. So
it's a
I
good
let him
thing he
get
has
out there.
those pads. I'm worried Biggie will kill him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Question number 2. What
Okay.
is the favorite team that the favorite team and the favorite year that you've covered in your whole sports information career? What's the most fun you've had?
I got 2 probably. When I was at UMass, I covered hockey, and we had never made the NCAA tournament. My final year there, my second year there, so it would have been 2004 season. We made the Hockey East Finals. We had a guy that 2 days after the season ended signed with the Rangers and scored a goal like in his first game that night. That was pretty cool. But what made it really cool is that the guys were phenomenal and I loved working for them. But the Hockey East Championship game, we played Maine, who won the national championship that year, and we lost in triple overtime. And it was like the 5th longest game in NCAA history, and the effort that our guys gave to try and get us to the NCAA tournament was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Jimmy Howard was the goalie for Maine, and he made like
really?
75 saves. 1 goal, 75 saves. Our goalie made like 70 saves, allowed 2 goals. And I just remember our guys like in the 3rd overtime coming off the ice, and they had to drag them over the boards. They were so tired, like they couldn't lift their legs up. And it was just, it was unbelievable.
So for those of you who don't follow hockey, Jimmy Howard later went on to be the goaltender for the Red Wings. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I think he was probably an Olympic team goalie, at some point in there. And he was legit. And then probably my second year, my second favorite team was probably my 2008 team at Navy. We finished second in the conference. We started off, there were only 8 teams in the league, so we only played a 14-game league schedule. We started off like 3-4 in the first half, and then we went 6-1 in the second half and swept the conference champions twice. We had a kid named Greg Sprink who was about 6'5", 220, played shooting guard, and he averaged about 24 a game. He had over 35 like 6 times during the year. It was just unbelievable. But so we were hosting the quarterfinal game against Bucknell, who you guys know about Bucknell. They came in and Tamaki and beat us, but we went up 2 on them in triple overtime. Navy hadn't won a conference tournament game since 2001. We were the number 2 seed. Guy hits a shot with like 2.5 seconds left in triple overtime. They inbound. The guy takes 1 dribble, hits about a 60-footer
Oh,
on our home court in triple overtime. It was probably the most crushing. And that loss set Navy basketball back probably 3 or 4 years.
That happens, and the next thing you know, you're 3-26.
Yeah. It was crushing. It was the most heartbreaking thing. I felt terrible for the guys, but oh well.
and my final question first. My final question doesn't follow that negativity very well, because I was going to ask you, how are you so positive? You're always so happy and positive, and you're we're Purdue. I'm a lifelong Purdue fan, so basically I don't have a soul anymore. It's just
bitter.
lots of pieces. So where did that come from?
I think it's just, I love my job. I love being here at Purdue. I love the guys I work with, and I've been optimistic my whole life. Obviously, football's struggling, but I really think the program's going to turn it around. I get crushed on Twitter for that, but it's I'm okay with that. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I'm pretty positive with it. So I don't know. Maybe I get it from my parents. My dad being a football coach, he had a lot of success, so maybe I got it from him. I don't know, but I just feel, if you're positive, I don't know. Maybe you always have hope that things will turn around. So I don't know.
Well, we can't thank you enough. First of all, for being here. I don't know if the listeners know. I don't think that we caught it on recording film, whatever we're recording this on. But Chris came back into work to record this for us because he is the greatest of all time. I don't think that we have to give that much of an argument for why, for the difference before and after Chris got here, the amount of outreach and the amount of digital presence that the Purdue basketball, the Purdue golf program as well, have taken, the steps that have taken. Hearing you talk about a Periscope interview and how people are using Periscope wrong, honestly, I never thought somebody in black and gold would utter that sentence, let alone know what Periscope is, right?
Yeah.
So the amount of work and honestly the amount of change that you've made in your 2 years of the program, 2 or 3 years of the program now, regardless of what you might think it is, it's been, from the outside looking in, it's been unbelievable. So thank you so much for what you
breath
do.
of fresh air. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Chris.
Yes. Thanks for coming on the show.
Anytime, guys.
Well, thanks, Chris. That was really great. That was awesome. That was really good.